The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcome should be.
What? Who's talking? Am I talking? No, you both are muted. You guys got to unmute yourself.
I haven't said anything.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm here. We survived. Holy crap. What a couple of days. I don't even know what to say. I really don't. I have absolutely no idea what to say to you people. You guys are some of the most incredible people in the world. I'm not an emotional person. Ask my wife. It's one of the things that drives her crazy the most, but it's also one of the things that allows for chaos like this to happen and for peace to be experienced through it. Man, I think you guys have a video. Let's do that real quick, just so you guys can see what happened, and we'll share a little bit of details.
Yeah. You ready?
Yep.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us what happened, or a little bit? I mean, whatever you can. I know there's.
I mean, I'll share what I can. There's still an investigation going on. I don't have any reason to believe that there is any foul play or anything like that. I think, it would be easy for people in situations like ours where we are constantly rattling sabers and we are constantly kicking hornet's nests to immediately jump to the place where there's some nefarious motive going on. But I don't think that's the case. I think there's an investigation happening here. I think it's pretty simple. It was an accident. It seems like so far what we know is that it was a total accident, one of these cautionary tales. And once the fire report is issued and we know for sure, then I'll be happy to talk a little bit more about that. But what I will tell you is that this is probably going to get me choked up. My wife and my daughter were not there at the time, which is great. My son and I were. This was about a half an hour after we closed and wrapped our podcast on Monday. And I went back upstairs, sat down at my desk and got back to work. And, there are times in your life that you are going to experience that are going to cause you to have one of two different responses. And people respond differently in this scenario. Some people freeze and they freak out and they don't know how to handle emergencies. And then there was what I saw from my son. You guys know that I am incredibly proud of my kids. Patriot Lad is growing up to be one of the most amazing young men I've ever met in my entire life. This kid is set apart in ways that people don't even realize yet. And I don't even think we realize yet. But it was probably one of the most proud moments of my life to watch a 14-year-old kid see his entire kitchen on fire, run out of the house. And the first thing he did is grabbed his phone, called 911, and did the things that a dad wants your children to do in moments like that. It was the type of response that you just hope you will hear and see from your kids. And I could not be more proud of him. I couldn't be more proud of my wife and my daughter, who are experiencing this a little bit differently, because my wife has made our house a home. This was our dream home. This is the thing that we have been working towards our entire life. And we will rebuild. We absolutely plan on rebuilding. And I'm the type of guy that's like, there's a couple things I wanted to do to this place when we bought it, and now we're going to do it. We're going to add the mudroom we wanted. We're going to, dig out the crawl space in the basement and turn it into a music room and a small ballet studio for my daughter to be able to dance in. And we're going to take this opportunity to turn this into a forever home until someone comes and offers us a whole lot of money for it. And then we move on to the next forever home, because that's the way we are. But you guys are incredible. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of responding, so this morning, what is it? Probably like 10 a.m., right?
Yeah.
10 a.m. So we had been talking, we've been going back and forth for the last couple of days about, a GiftSend Go or something like that. Because listen, I mean, you lost literally everything. Socks, pillows, pillowcases, pots, pans, spatulas, shoes, couch, beds, literally everything. And we know the insurance companies, how they work. It's a process. And, Patriot Dad is the last person that would ever come with his hand out. I know over the years, you have given way more to your church, to people around you, to friends that need help making their mortgage, making their rent, help people buy groceries. I know that you've been doing that for years and years and years. And it was somewhat difficult to kind of bring you around to the idea of saying, hey, you need cash flow and you need it quickly to help you, just kind of get back up on your feet. And we did that. So we got a GiftSend Go set up this morning. I think I did the initial video like maybe 10 a.m. And I'm going to tell you guys, I am completely blown away. Over $30,000 has been raised in 10 hours. And I grabbed this picture probably about half an hour ago. Over $30,000. And I'm going to tell you, that is a testament to the people, the conservatives that are involved in this movement, the following that you have built. I mean, the outpouring that we saw. I mean, some of the biggest accounts on TikTok, on X, all over the place, they stepped out and really, really helped you. And this isn't done at all. I mean, people were sending $5 donations. And one of the biggest questions that I got, because I was managing this, I know you were busy, I was managing this kind of all day long, is Patriot Mom going to set up an Amazon wish list thing? And I think you really should do that, because there are hundreds of people that want to help and donate that way. But I've got to tell you, this shocked me to my core. I mean, these people that over the years you've built a huge, massive following. The prayer lives that you did touched so many people, and I don't even think you know it, but I tell you what, most of them told me today. I mean, there's a number of them who said you changed their lives with those prayer lives. We know there's a number of those prayer lives that continue today that still go on. So, I mean, that is just 10 hours, over $30,000 raised. I'm shocked to my core, folks. This is one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced.
Wow.
You're very deserving, and so is your family. And I hope that you give Patriot Mom a hug for me, because she's been on my heart really heavy, and your kids as well. I know what it's like. I know what they're feeling. I know what they're going through. And also, I just keep thinking about her, and I can't imagine what she's going through. And so I just want you to know that we're all thinking about you guys and praying for you guys, and we love you guys.
Thank you. Well, I will say this, and we'll move on to things that I think are the most important. So I had a chance to go over to the property today. I brought some of my buddies with me who were immediately like, what can we do? So we got the tools out. We yanked out the safes that I had some of our most valuable items in, and thank God those safes worked. So we were able to salvage the documents that I had saved. We were able to salvage some of the precious metals I had saved. We were able to salvage my wife's Nan Nooney's ring that we had saved. And shockingly, not shockingly, every single Bible in our house was nearly untouched. You explain that to me. I mean, I know why.
I know why. I know why. And when we built our house, when it was framed, we invited all of our friends over and family, and everybody wrote Bible verses all over all of the studs. And we put Bibles before they put sheetrock and insulation up. We put a Bible over every exterior door and over each one of the kids' doors.
That's right. That's right. I also have one more surprise for you guys. So you guys saw the pictures. Everything from the main floor up, gone, except for things that were in safes and maybe things that were like tucked in a drawer that didn't quite get burned to death. Down in the basement where the Patriot Corner is, everything is ruined because it's all, there's a foot of water down there. Everything was waterlogged. But my corner survived.
All the hats survived. I'm sure a lot of folks were very worried about the Patriot Corner hats.
They smell awful.
How is that thing still white?
Because I pray over my stuff. That's how. Now, one more.
Oh, it survived.
It survived. It stinks.
Amazing.
It survived. For those of you guys that don't know, I'm an amateur woodworker and I made that myself. So I'm thrilled. Some stuff made it. The vast majority of stuff did not, but we will rebuild and we have a country to save. So let's get on with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, that rebuilding is going to happen. It's going to take a long time. We know that. Insurance company's going to do their thing. You've got some cash flow coming in. So we're going to move on because you're right. We do have a country to save. So what we're going to do, right? Because on Monday, we had what probably was the most amazing podcast that we've done so far. Now, listen, we're only 24 episodes in, which is pretty wild to think of, honestly. But we had Lisa Logan, world famous Lisa Logan, who's all over the place. She came back and joined us for a second time. Data Republican. Now, SK, I have a question for you. Is that the second time Data Republican has done an on-video?
I don't know.
Event? I think it is.
I honestly have no idea. I really and truly don't. I know I say this all the time, and I say that I don't watch all of everybody's stuff and follow closely. I truly don't know. I have no idea. I just know that we were talking about it in our group texting and about Lisa, and I was telling her the time, and we were joking back and forth about it. And she has a couple of interviews coming up later this week. I think one tomorrow and one Friday. And I was like, wait, I felt really rude. And I was like, I just want you to know that you're welcome to come on anytime you want. You can come today. You can come anytime. It's an open invitation. And she asked if it was video or audio or what. And I said, it's whatever you want it to be. If you just want audio, you can do that. If you want both, you can do that. It's whatever you want. We use StreamYard. It's laid back. It is what it is. And she was like, yeah, I'll try to make it. And I mean, you have to remember her cat was in the ICU. She was at the vet all night long. I was shocked that she came. Shocked.
Well, it looks like there's a good news. I can see over on Rumble, Sammy Giral said her cat came home.
Yes, the cat did come home. I saw the update today. He's got a long couple week recovery coming. So for those of you that listen, I don't know I'm not sure that everybody on YouTube stream and Rumble and all that stuff, if you understand how big of a deal Data Republican is to the MAGA movement, frankly, right now. I mean, between her and Mike Benz and a handful of other creators, Data Republicans is doing the data analysis, the big data, the slicing and dicing of data, the collating and aggregating and all the things that only AI can handle. And without the work that she has done and the systems that she has built, I don't know where this movement would be, frankly, in understanding the complexity of the NGOs and the systems and the funding and all of that stuff. I mean, SK and all of her handwritten notebooks, all of that stuff is fantastic, but we are in the big data part of trying to understand understanding how complicated this truly is. And it's not an accident that it is this complicated. It is necessarily this complicated.
It's intentional, 100% intentional. Listen, and I keep saying, people are like, how do we stop this? What do we do to fix it? Because there have been times I've been discouraged and I've sat and actually cried tears and been like, we are way too far down the road. I don't even think this can be reversed. because it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. Just yesterday, a text message to my nephew's school was about starting one of these programs that's in this whole ecosystem at the school. We are in a solid red state. They're starting it at the school. And I mean, I sometimes I've sat and cried and been like, we can't stop it. And but I think we can. I think we just have to get it mapped out, and then we have to mirror it, and we have to work harder. And those people are paid. Those people all get paid to do what they do. I found a job, or at least I found a job board a couple of days ago, and the positions are all six figures, anywhere from upper 100s to almost $400,000 a year, working from home. And they're like super easy jobs. They're not anything that even require like effort. And so these people all get paid from the top all the way to the bottom. They get paid. And on our side, people are doing it because we love this country and we're motivated by, wanting to save this country for our children and grandchildren and great grandchildren. I think we can beat them with just pure grit, to be honest. It doesn't even require huge funding.
Well, I'm just going to say this, and we're not going to turn the Patriot Source podcast into a religious podcast, but SK, I only have one thing to say, but God. Look, folks, there is nothing that the enemy can do to defeat a people who are willing to get down on our knees, submit ourselves to God, repent, and the enemy flees. He has to. He doesn't have a choice. So while we do this, while we are doing this right here, we need to be praying, and we're going to continue to do prayer lives. Every single person within the sound of my voice needs to be praying for exposure, for the schemes and the tricks of the enemy to be completely and totally removed and uprooted from this country. They can be 2 yards away from the end zone, but it doesn't matter. It's like Ohio State's football defense. You just can't get through them. You cannot get through. You cannot get through a country that has the hand of God on it like this one does. But the only way that works is if we get really bold, we get really aggressive, and we tell the enemy he doesn't have a foothold here anymore. And at the same time, we expose every single lie that they're engaging in. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, we're going to be busy because there's lots of lies. That seems to be all they do.
I'll also point this out. When you guys are talking about it being necessarily complex, look, Glenn Beck was the one who I think you started talking about this years ago, where he talked about the
That's because of Lisa, strategy. By the way.
The strategy is what they are doing right now. They are intentionally making this stuff overwhelmingly complex so that the average person gives up and says, I don't understand what they're doing. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't do anything to stop it. But just know this. We absolutely can. We have defeated radical Marxist communists at every single turn, and we're damn well going to do it again. It's going to happen. Yeah. They don't have a choice.
Well, I mean, it's important that we understand what they are doing. I mean, we all know that politics is local, right? That's the mantra that's gone on for a long time, and what that movement and that effort is doing is they are, it's all bottom up. It's bottom up from the ground. Politics are local. They're going to city councils. They're going to township councils, to school boards, and they're working their way up into state legislatures and all the way up. This is how they think they are going to win. And, the Tea Party got involved in that back in the, in the middle 2010s, whatever. They made a big push into that. But I think we forgot as conservatives what that meant until COVID. And then we got re-engaged in that. But conservatives have a tendency to pay closer attention to the national politics than they do sort of state and local. And folks need to understand where this threat truly is coming from. And it is local and state threat. And
it's already there.
Yeah, I know it's there. And we need to get involved. And there's a couple of things that we talked about in the podcast on Monday. One, the way that they're sort of defiling our elections. And they're with ranked choice voting and with these open primaries. SK, are you comfortable talking a little bit? Because I've got two videos we can play. They're a little bit, probably 4 minutes each if we want to recap them, or unless you want to do it.
No, you can play those. I think Data Republican and Lisa did a great job. And you guys, I want you to understand, when Glenn Beck started talking about these things, including the federal plan and all of those things, that's because of Lisa. Lisa's the one that started getting this out. She discovered it because she was researching the school stuff and the faith stuff. I think it started with the faith stuff, and then something happened at the school, and she started looking into it, and she realized it tied all into the federal plan. And then when I was doing my research from the other direction, because I was at federal level, you guys know how I've been keeping track of funding and all the players and all those things. I've always done that. But when Data Republican put Lisa and I together, our research connected, and a light bulb went off, because I knew about the federal plan and I knew the things they were doing at the federal level, but I had no idea about all of the ground game.
Yeah. So let's do that, because listen, these two election gimmicks that they're using are so crucial. They're designed specifically to box conservatives out of the electoral process completely. So let's get a recap of what ranked choice voting looks like, because it's already in play in a lot of places. We need to start pushing back on it.
And talk about democracy for years, and I think most people don't understand what they mean when they talk about democracy. It is not democracy in the sense that you think it is. So what we're going to explore throughout the rest of this show is what they actually mean, and also what Lisa and others have written about this. So one of the things that you talk about in that first article that was posted on 10/17 that I just want to spend a few minutes on, you lay out a framework for how these organizations basically plan to usurp the constitutional republic as it exists today. And one of the things that they're seeking to accomplish is replacing the constitutional republic with a democracy through this concept of ranked choice voting. And I think it's really important for people to understand what ranked choice voting is and why it's so dangerous. Lisa, can you maybe spend just a few seconds talking about this? Because you hear people talk about ranked choice voting, but I don't think anyone understands what it is and why it's so critically important that we do not allow that in our constitutional republic.
Well, this is a system of voting where instead of just choosing one candidate, right, yes or no, you fill in the bubble, or in my state, you fill in the bubble because there's all sorts of mail-in voting, or, you go to the ballot box and you fill in a bubble. And so this is where you rank the candidates in the order that you'd like to possibly vote for them. The issue with that is, it's kind of convoluted. It replaces the whole one person, one vote aspect of America, right? So your vote, what happens is if your person doesn't get chosen, your first choice, your votes then go to the next highest one that was chosen. And so you may, your vote may going towards your last choice in your rank. And so this is something it's very convoluted. All the countries that are using it, like Australia and others, I know our districts that adopted it, there was like 28 districts that adopted it. And that's kind of what I cover in that article as well, is that Shriver kind of swooped in with his 3 organizations, 28 people, 28 districts ended up adopting it, and many of them have already kicked it out, including the one that I live in. So I think it's just, it makes cheating a lot easier, I think. And I think it lowers people's trust in that their vote actually ended up where it was supposed to go.
Not only that, but you also end up with people like Murkowski as the senator in states like Alaska. If you guys remember, Lisa Murkowski actually lost the Republican Party primary in 6 years ago, however long ago it was. She lost the primary, and because she was so butthurt that her own constituents rejected her, she ran. All right, because of ranked choice voting, Democrats came over, put her as the second selection, and she ended up winning the general election as a result of it. Like, this is what you end up with the reality that no Democrats are Republicans, but most Republicans are actually Democrats. Well, it's only going to get worse if ranked choice voting is allowed to continue in this country.
And open primaries, and they're wanting blockchain voting. They have all sorts of plans for this. They do not want populism. They want the pluralism. They want to completely structurally change. They want political and electoral structural reform. They have whole new constitutions written. There are other organizations in this ecosystem that have just written amendments to constitutions, or to the Constitution. But There are other ones that have whole new constitutions. And that's why the 5th B of the 4B framework is breaking, because if they can't make this happen through constitutional means, they're just going to break it all and rebuild from nothing, because they already have constitutions ready to go.
Right.
And they say it's a constitutional democracy now. They're using that term. They don't even use constitutional republic. They do not want to accept the fact that we're a republic. They want a direct democracy through these snake weaving things like ranked choice voting, so they can still get what they want.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I already showed you guys one of the constitutions they plan to potentially implement. It's the Revolutionary Communist Party, and it is the most Orwellian document I have ever read in my entire life. And just know this, folks, if these people are successful, you will never again be able to vote for anybody that you choose. You will vote for who they tell you you're allowed to vote for. It's that simple. That's simple.
So I had another video poised to go, and it's Data Republican describing what the problem of the open primaries is. Do we want to play that, or do we want to get into the 4Bs? We want to talk about the open primaries?
It's up to you. It's whatever you want to do.
Let's jump into the 4Bs if we can, because I think we want to stay on time.
Okay, so the 4Bs, this is sort of a methodology, or it's a system that these psychos, in my opinion, I think they're psychos, or the color revolutionists have put together, and it's how they plan to basically overthrow the United States government and the Constitution. They're going to use a process of these 4Bs. So we're going to let Lisa explain what that means.
Screen in a second. Can you help us understand what this is? And the reason I bring this up is because folks need to understand, SK says this all the time. They are at the 2-yard line right now, getting ready to push into the end zone, and this is how they're doing it. So Lisa, would you mind just kind of showing us real quick what this is? What is this? What is the 4Bs, and how are they using this?
Well, their 4Bs is their strategy to bring us into this, what they call to generate democracy in the center there. So that's bridging, blocking, building, and belonging. And then if they can't succeed with those 4Bs, there's an unwritten B, which is breaking the systems and institutions of America. So obviously blocking is stuff like blocking people's free speech. The people that, again, like Charlie Kirk, who riled up his base to say, hey, we're going to fight back against some of this stuff. The building is like building new systems, exactly what Jenica just said, building the structures and institutions that to make us a straight democracy. So those, citizen assemblies, how we're going to do governance here in our country. The independent movement calls that omni-win. There's the whole Game B movement. It's how they're going to take us into this next form of democracy. Then you have the bridging movement, which is kind of like the connective tissue. They're the ones that get R's and D's together to have these generative discussions or dialogues, folks like Braver Angels. But what they don't tell you with this bridging movement is they use the same tactics, and that this is how I kind of came to this knowledge in the first place. I actually wrote a whole nother article about how did Tyler Robinson get from a kid who was from a, kind of MAGA family to somebody who wanted to silence Charlie Kirk. And really it's the way that they do the dialogue, which is a very manipulative Delphi technique that's been used in social emotional learning. It's been used a lot of times when they have these planning sessions. Rosa Koire was a great one who exposed these local Agenda 21 meetings they would have, and they would have a facilitator, hence the Mediators Foundation. There was a whole slew of trained mediators who get people together to have these discussions who already have an outcome in mind, and they steer the conversation through crowd tactics and very verified techniques of belonging. A lot of times when you get people together and you get them to talk about what they do have in common, their guard gets lowered, and then they are able to agree to things that they may not otherwise agree with. These T groups and sensitivity training tactics. So this is kind of how they're doing it. And again, if they are not, they have trained people ready to try and break our system. And that's why you see people in the streets, yes, nonviolent protests and things like that. But again, it's to overthrow the presidency and our whole entire system of governance.
let me add that their idea of nonviolent protesting, again, if you sit through any of these meetings at all whatsoever, it includes like U.S. Institute of Peace, all of the color revolutionists for all over the world, internationally. Nonviolent protesting includes burning down buildings and property destruction and things that you and I would consider to be pretty violent, but they don't consider that to be violence.
Look, folks,
I mean,
you call it nonviolent doesn't mean it's nonviolent. When you're burning and you're attacking people, that's violence. That's what it looks like.
Well, it's the narrative warfare game, right? And it's like Antifa pretending like they are anti-fascist when they are the actual fascists and they're using fascist techniques. I'm part of the good guy group, and you guys know how that goes, right? They're saying words and they're attaching words to things that are antithetical to what they mean, and they expect that the weaponized ignorant people are going to be like, oh, okay, well, you're actually anti-fascist when you're the fascist, or this is nonviolent when it's actually nonviolent. So I mean, we know that this is the role that the street thugs, and I'm going to use that term intentionally, the street thugs are designed and meant to play. It's why Antifa exists. It's why you had BLM in 2020. It's why they tried to recreate that with the shutdown and with the ending of SNAP benefits, because they needed that nonviolent part of the break of the 5 pillars of the 4 Bs, where they add the break. If they can't succeed, then they're just going to break it. And right. That's what they tried to do in 2020, and they're going to try to recreate that again. More importantly, the media and the Democrat Party plays a very specific role in this, and that is to, while it's happening, to watch it happen, to watch fires burning behind them, to say, oh, this is just mostly peaceful. Don't worry about it. There's nothing to see here. They're all playing their role.
But do you remember when U.S. troops were rolling into Baghdad back during the Iraqi War? And
Baghdad Bob.
Do you remember that? You had the communications minister working under Saddam Hussein, who was standing in front of a TV where tanks were rolling into Baghdad, and he's telling the world that nothing to worry about, nothing's happening. That's the media's job. That they are wholly bought and paid for. They are nothing more than stenographers for the global democratic revolution that's happening right now, the color revolution, democracy color revolution. That's their role, is to keep people asleep. But the problem for them, we're better at this than you are.
Yeah. Well, but they're going to keep doing it. I mean, we saw it earlier this week when Turning Point had an event at UC Berkeley, right? And what happened? We saw Antifa was beckoned back out into the streets, and we saw them do their violent, nonviolent stuff. We see it when they're tipping over Turning Point USA tables, when they're attacking people with Molotov cocktails and shooting commercial grade fireworks at all these people. And they were out there, and we saw the media just this week do exactly what they're supposed to do. And I've got a video of it if you'd like to see it. Unless SK, you have something to add before we go into the media.
I just want to say, if you are a researcher, if you like to dig and you like to read and you like to research, it is not difficult to be able to tie the events of 2020, several different events of 2020, to some of these people and organizations. The same way it is not difficult to tie what happened to Charlie Kirk to some of these organizations. And I mean, I'm not making any accusations. I don't have any evidence. I don't have access to what the government does. But I mean, if you're trying to, if you're saying you want, dignified speech and no contempt of speech, and you don't want these things being shared, I've read PDFs from some of these organizations and their campus policies and the things they're pushing on campuses, and they have whole guides for the teachers and administrators how to facilitate these types of discussions. And then at the bottom, it talks about how they're wanting open dialogue and all these different ideas and a free flow of ideas. But then there's a warning label at the bottom of each page when it's talking about whatever it's talking about. And then it's like, warning, but the setback could be, and literally on the one where it's talking about like free exchange of ideas, it says students could be exposed to harmful ideas. They want to control your thoughts. They are controlling kids' thoughts on university campuses.
Yep. Hey, real quick, Nom, before you play that video, I just want to address a couple of comments I see over on X. So MD has, first of all, thank you so much for the well wishes. I appreciate it. We do our prayer lives on Thursday nights at 9:30 Eastern over on my @PatriotDadEV 3.0 TikTok account. So you'll need to be over on TikTok, 9:30 Eastern. We will do one tomorrow night. Go.
Yeah, so I mean, the video I have is, again, the media being dutiful stenographers and doing their job and pretending like the break part of this process is not underway. So this is in response to the UC Berkeley Antifa attacking people trying to attend a free speech event.
Yeah, things have been lively here. While that Turning Point USA event is still happening inside, protesters have been out here for hours. You can see them still here behind me. They have been chanting, just a very, very lively scene out here. While things have been mostly peaceful, there have been some tense moments. Earlier this evening, there was a scuffle that broke out where two men started fighting. UC Berkeley police had to break up that interaction. Later, someone was throwing smoke bombs and a car backfired, leading some of the people who were protesting to run away.
So there it is, right? They're doing their job. They're mostly peaceful. You've got fights breaking out. I mean, they were trying to storm that facility, storm that auditorium, and shut the event down. They weren't just standing there picketing and protesting. They are violent. They are violent animals, and they want you. If they have an opportunity, they will kill you. Everybody understands that.
That's right. Did you guys know? Did you guys know, real quick? Did you guys know that the chief of police at Berkeley is the same person who was in second in command of the U.S. Capitol Police on January 6th? A woman by the name of Yogananda Pitman, who was eventually she was formerly the assistant chief and acting chief of the United States Capitol Police. But here's the kicker: this same woman who was overseeing law enforcement that allowed that event at UC to turn into a riot, which was specifically organized and planned to disrupt Turning Point USA's event, was also the one who was found to have had specific intelligence that there was a planned protest at the Capitol at least 2 weeks before January 6th. And according to the findings and the Senate investigation, and they say because of a series of omissions and miscommunications, kept that information from frontline officers. So why do you think that this person was promoted to go lead a university police department that's going to be in charge of protecting people and yet allowing Antifa to run wild on their campus? Anyone?
Because they fully intend to allow Antifa to run wild on the campuses. That's
because
right.
None of this is by accident. This is by design. The Democrats, if they are nothing, they are the biggest hypocrites. They are absolute liars, and everything they say they do not mean. They change the definition of words intentionally. And just like with this going on right here, they're trying to storm an event where there's an exchange of ideas taking place and debate taking place and conversation taking place, which they're supposed to be promoting through this bridging and the disagree better and all the stuff they started pushing after Charlie Kirk was killed. They're supposed to be, this is what they're supposed to be supporting, yet at the same time, they don't want you talking. They don't want you debating. They don't want a free flow of information because they want only their information delivered the way they want it delivered. Period.
Well, that's the overarching point of the things like the Dignity Index, right? You nailed it. The bridging aspect of the 4 Bs is supposed to include the Dignity Index, where you're supposed to everybody's supposed to agree on dignified language and dignified discourse with people, except their view of dignified discourse is far leftist discourse. It is the democracy discourse, not constitutional republic, not anything that's founded in our founding documents, not anything that we understand our country where it came from and what it's supposed to be. It is the exact antithesis of that. That's their Dignity Index, and that's what they coded it all for.
Right.
Exactly. And don't forget, Ermi Afanian was a Dignity Index coder, by the way. Keep that tucked away in the back of your brain. But I keep referring to that study that they did on language, and I think they've done another one since. But the one that I was looking at and have been looking at, I think I sent it to you guys when I found it several weeks ago. It's from 2022. And you guys need to be watching out for the Democrats to be using language like liberty, like patriotism, like constitution and constitutional, and freedom. All of these things, they did a study to see what words resonate with the most amount of Americans. And that's the speech they use, because democracy used to resonate with a lot of Americans, because a constitutional republic is a form of democracy, because we do vote for our representative based on the Constitution of the United States. They don't want that. And there's even an organization I found a couple days ago called Keep Our Republic. And I was like, oh, why is this in here? Keep Our Republic. Like, I'm down with that. And then you look at the purpose, it's nothing about keeping our republic at all.
That's right. It's the same thing as them naming bills completely useless names to get people to think, oh, that sounds like a great idea, like the Affordable Care Act. That sounds fantastic. And then the next thing you know, you've got skyrocketing healthcare costs, and you've got people who are out on the streets and can't eat because SNAP benefits are being turned off because they loaded up a bunch of subsidies in a bill 4 years ago and quietly tucked a sunsetting provision right before the end of 2025 that they weren't prepared for. Look, they do this on purpose. All of this is on purpose. They take language, they manipulate it, they massage it, and they turn it into something that it's not. Antifa calling themselves anti-fascist is 180 degrees opposite from the truth. They are the fascist. Democracy, as they use the term today, is fascism. It's fascism. Just keep that in your brain. When you hear a leftist say the word democracy, what you should hear is the word fascism, because that's what they're implementing.
Yes, and bureaucracy as well. So control, government control, but I always like to say bureaucracy, like defend our democracy. They mean defend our bureaucracy, defend our
unelected people.
Yes.
Yeah, unelected people. That's the goal. The overarching goal of all of this is they want people that are making decisions for you every single day, telling you when you can travel, when you can eat, how far you can go, how much money you can spend, anything that impacts your day-to-day life. They want unelected, nameless, faceless people in the bureaucracy making those decisions, not elected representatives, not at all.
That's right.
All right. So we need to move this forward, right? Because what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks, and until I think all of this is out there, and I don't think there's really enough time for SK and Data Republic and Lisa to fully investigate and research all of this, but we're gonna keep bringing in some new stuff. So SK, let's continue the discussion. So we've got a good update. We've recapped where we are, but now we need to sort of set the table for what's coming next.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying. The hardest part for me is trying to figure out how to present it all, because I want to be able to draw the big picture first and have all the little boxes. So like if you picture a file cabinet, you got to have all the files in there so that when, information is given, which file it goes in, so that you can see the big picture as it's forming. You have the framework. So then as organizations and plans and playbooks and all these papers that they write, because they tell you exactly what they're going to do and they talk about it openly. They don't hide any of this stuff. They say it out loud.
That's right.
And
they just don't think we're paying attention.
Right. Well, because most people aren't. I mean, I watched a video a couple weeks ago that this channel had 1 subscriber and there were 22 views on the video, and I guarantee you all 22 of those people were employees, because the boss was the one speaking on there, and if anything came up, they needed to know how to answer. I mean,
That's
literally.
Right. So I like your file cabinet analogy. The good news is you actually gave me some files, so let's open some up and let's just kind of go through it.
Are they
you got something you want to add?
Are they my hand drawn?
They are. These are folks. This is the way SK does her research, right? So you got Data Republic on one side, who's building AI systems that's doing amazing, and then SK is just as effective with this.
Hey, this looks a lot like Glenn Beck's
It does.
sessions.
So,
Well,
so
listen,
what do we have here?
Their idea is obviously to generate democracy. A lot of the things now, I mean, because you have to remember, even though some of these organizations were just founded in the last year or 2 years or 5 years, this has been going on for a very, very long time. And a lot of the organizations will start a new organization while the old one is still open, and then they move all the operations over to the new one. So it just evolves over time. into these, like they start grouping together and more, they just multiply. I don't even know. It's like the gremlins or something. But generate democracy is the goal. And then those other colored squares are kind of some of the things that they're intending to do in order to generate democracy. And remember, this is their form of democracy, not a constitutional republic. So, obviously the political and electoral structural reform, the bridging the divides, the depolarization, which is like the dignity index, the disagree better, the dinner table conversations or whatever it's called. All of this conversation they say they want to take place, which obviously they don't because they're trying to shut it down and silence people. But these are all the things. The racial justice is in there. The environmental sustainability is in there. The citizen and civic, that's all of the local hubs. And then there's the sustainable capitalism, which is not at all capitalism.
That's right.
So you want to? So okay. So I mean, what do we do with all this? I mean, so you're telling me that this is a super high level view of probably hundreds, if not thousands, of NGOs underneath of each one of these, and they are spider webbed out into local townships and municipalities and cities and state legislatures, and they're pushing all of this nonsense while we're just sitting over here talking about federal government shutdown, right?
Yes, and they call it the Fractal network. So the way that they make the movement scale, there it is through a fractal network where organizing principles apply consistently from local to national, the same at every level. It's like a snowflake, so it just replicates. They put together a playbook, they put together a form, they make their organizations all exactly the same, and then they just multiply all across the country in different cities in every state. And that's how they do it. The local civic muscle hub, the state is the multi-solver networks, and the national is the network coordination. This is the playbook, the 4B framework, except there's a 5th B, which is the breaking, which you already talked about.
Yeah. Okay. So what else we got here? So as you guys know, it's been very chaotic around the Patriot Source Podcast in the background. So this is the SK show. We've got some more files to open up in the filing cabinet. You want to tell us about how the IMIP fits into
put up the IMIP.
this?
Put up the IMIP. So this is the Inter-Movement Impact Project, and not to like add even more and confuse you even more, but there's also an intra-movement project, like system network in this whole thing. But the IMIP is what we call it. That's the Braver Angels, which is, again, the depolarization, the dialogue to action programs. There's Interfaith, because they also want one world religion. Remember, this is all from the UN. This is all the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the ESGs. This is the federal plan. This is the big picture from the UN. All those things that people told you were conspiracies in 2020 when people were talking about Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is literally all over all of the UN websites for years before that.
I have a question.
Agenda 2030.
Before you move off in this interfaith America, you're talking about they want one sort of global religion.
Mm-hmm.
There is a bit of an unholy alliance that's playing out right now in the Democrat Party and on the left, and that unholy alliance is what generally most leftists would tell you they're either atheists or agnostics, except they're all in on Islam. Patriot Dad, can you help us understand, is that the one religion that they're going to organize around until they realize that, hey, once that happens, there are no atheists and agnostics left? You can't do that when Islam is in charge.
Islam will not be the final one world religion, but it is the hammer. It is the hammer to get us to that place. Look, so let me give you an example of what Interfaith America looks like, okay? I'm going to use a couple of different scenarios. So Interfaith America are like the Antifa pastor who was engaging in violent insurrection with a collar on, right? Because they want
First Methodist Church of Chicago.
That's right. With a collar on, pretending as though he's a faith leader, but he's also an anti-fascist. That's what they're talking about. They're also talking about organizations like Catholic Charities and these other organizations that were responsible for dropping off millions, if not tens of millions, of illegal undocumented immigrants into the country. Those are the types of bridges they're building. These are the apparatuses to allow the globalists, the color revolutionists, to implement their agenda. A lot of times that's through people into the United States under the cover of interfaith organizations. But the bottom line is these people are not Bible believing Christians. These are the people who make videos saying things like Mom Donnie is more like Jesus than anybody else. Like that's what interfaith America looks like. But Islam is not going to be the final global religion. It's going to look more like this idea that man can become gods themselves through a process. It's a works-based faith more than anything that doesn't need a savior, because we and government are in fact the saviors of our own selves.
Yes. So and think about Oprah. Think about all the people that Oprah had on, and like the secret type stuff, and like Deepak Chopra, that type of stuff, and how Oprah evolved from saying she was a Christian to then kind of changing her language, where if you're a Christian and you don't know what she's saying, you think, oh, this aligns with my beliefs. Like, she's a Christian. But if you listen closely, it's not at all. And that's the one world religion type thing. And Lisa has an excellent video from several years ago, I believe, on her YouTube and her YouTube, I think, is Patriot Parents, or you can probably just look up Lisa Logan. But also she has a pinned post on her X account that has a bunch of the threads that she's done all linked in that pinned post. And the interfaith is one of the things that she went in on deep, which is how she found it started to find that it was connected to the federal plan and all of that. She knows all about, there's days we're researching and she's like, hey, look this up. And I'm like, like, I don't want to get into this interfaith stuff because I'm afraid some bad juju is going to rub off, because it is scary. Like, some of the stuff that they do and say is scary.
Look, and what this is going to eventually evolve into, and you're starting to hear about this already. It ultimately leads to this concept of transhumanism, where we can fix ourselves not only spiritually but physically as well. So you're starting to see a little bit of that here and there through like gene therapy and that kind of stuff, but it's going to eventually turn into full-blown transhumanism as the solution to the things that ail the human condition. And the reason for that is, and this is maybe going a little bit deeper, but we as people today are basically copies of broken, sinful people that are really just shells of what humanity should have looked like had we not sinned from the beginning. And we're basically getting to a point where our genome is almost useless, and they're going to try to figure out a way to solve that. There's going to be somebody that's going to bring the solution, or they say is going to be the solution. And we know who that person's going to be. It's going to be the Antichrist. But this interfaith America is what's designed to get us to that point where transhumanism is the final solution.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple other things here on this. I'm going to call it a slide or whiteboard or whatever. So DEMAID, just real quick, that is the sort of the rebirth of USAID employees that all came together. It's amazing that they use the term DEM. I mean, it's democracy aid, right? So explain. So that's DEMAID. Yeah. It
is democracy aid, and they say out loud that they are taking all of those fired. As a matter of fact, right before we went live, I was watching a different interview, and when I pulled it up, I was on the phone with Lisa, and I said, oh my gosh, and I read the headline, and I said, I guarantee you it's a fired federal employee. Sure enough, as soon as I opened it up, fired federal employee. They put together USAID. They all got together, and it's USAID employees, and they said that they want to continue the work of USAID separate from the federal government. So they're just getting all their funding from this huge network that has billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. And they're doing what they were trained to do internationally on U.S. soil, which a lot of these people are CIA people, and I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah.
Well, so this is a bit problematic for the defenders of USAID and NGOs then, because if all of those NGOs that are receiving US, and it's not USAID, we all understand that it's AID, all of those NGOs that are receiving USAID, and it was supposed to be going to some brilliant cause in some other country far on the other side of the planet, they're not actually still doing that with private money. They're taking their skills here. So you tell me that they're essentially admitting that USAID and those NGOs existed to implement color revolutions and overthrow democratically elected governments? Is that what they're admitting?
And to launder a whole bunch of money. And to launder, let's be honest, they were laundering money from the U.S. taxpayers.
Yes, that is true. And they openly talk about these things. They have for years. You can watch U.S. Institute of Peace, it's the USAID people, all these people. They have conferences that they record, and they talk about how to instigate color revolutions. But they say they don't call it a color revolution. They talk about democracy. They think that. And the civil society, which again, all of this stuff talks about civil society, and it's all civil this, civil that. But they talk about spreading democracy, the same thing that they're doing here with defending democracy and all this. They're trying to sell it to the American people as we have to defend our democracy. Like, you're going to lose the country that you love if you don't defend democracy. But the democracy they're talking about isn't the democracy we all know and love. When they're pushing it to other countries, they are pushing the American democracy to these countries internationally. And in those people's mind, they see the United States and they think, well, that's what we want. We want to be free. We want liberty. We want all these things that represent the United States. But again, they're just doing it for whatever benefit they're gaining. And I understand there is a purpose. I understand that the CIA serves a purpose, and sometimes the United States has to have interest and, has to do some shady stuff sometimes, but not the way that they do it, not constantly, not everywhere, and damn sure not on U.S. soil to try to change our Constitution. And that is exactly what they're doing. They talk a lot about democracy backsliding in the United States. They outright say, because all of this is to defend against authoritarianism, and they're convincing everyone that if you don't go with what they're saying and do with what they're saying, we're going to end up with an authoritarian government. And now Donald Trump is the authoritarian. They don't even always say authoritarian anymore. They'll flat out say Trump administration. They admit they are fighting against Trump, and they're defending our democracy against Donald Trump.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so I mean, it's a lot, and I know we've barely just scratched the surface. You had another file up here. I don't think we're going to get to it, but let's tease it for the next time, because I mean, going forward, this is going to be an evergreen topic, for the next number of weeks, probably even longer. We've got a lot more to talk about, but so this guy here, SK, we don't need to go very deep in it, but if you could just tease it in maybe 15, 30 seconds, because we've got some current events that we have to get to.
Yes, definitely. When I was talking about the file cabinet and I was trying to figure out what I should use as like the files in the file cabinet, I thought this was probably the best representation of the files. So we can go this route, we can go a different route, who knows? But if you get a picture of this in your head, you'll understand how it's literally at every level. And you need to remember also, this is from the UN. You should check your county plans, your city plans. They've probably been changed in the last 4 or 5 years, and the language that's in there, most all of it comes directly from the UN, and it's the same in all the counties, in all the cities. There's probably language about riparian buffers and all kinds of stuff. Again, all from the UN.
That's right.
Wild stuff.
Okay, folks, I hope you guys are ready as we dive into this stuff and keep going at it. It's a lot. And there's so much more to dive into, but my goodness, they aren't going to win this fight. We're not going to let them. It's not happening.
They can't win it if people know what they're trying to do. When they can operate in the shadows like they have been able to do for a long time, it's easy. It's easy for them to do this. But if people understand where they're injecting this insanity, We know how to combat that. We know how to get aggressive at those city council meetings and in our local elections. We know how to do it. We just have to know why and where. So, okay. So on current events, shutdown's over. Did you guys know that?
Well, of course, the election's over.
Yeah. Shutdown's over. This happened today. Voted 222 to 209. The House approved the continuing resolution, which had some other goodies in it, by the way. Did you guys hear about some of these goodies that got packed in there from the Senate?
I didn't hear about him because I was digging out a safe from my burned down house. So tell us.
Yeah. Wow. So John Thune, this was really freaking cool. John Thune, at the last minute, he added an amendment to the continuing resolution. And it basically is an amendment that will allow senators to use taxpayer funds to sue the federal government for their records being obtained by the federal government as a result of Arctic frost. So we are going to be paying as taxpayers for Republicans in the Senate. We're going to be paying their legal expenses to file suit potentially against the federal government because it creates what they call a private right of action of any senator, and it's retroactive all the way back to January 1st of 2020, so that they can sue the federal government if their communication records were acquired, subpoenaed, searched, or disclosed without notification. And it mandates, it doesn't say shall, it says will pay out statutory damages of at least $500,000 per instance. So that's phone record, email account, per phone or per email account, plus all attorney's fees.
Wait,
hold on. You don't like this? You have a problem with this?
What?
What do you mean what? Yeah.
Do I get to sue the federal government for $500,000 for my record?
Well, you can, but you don't get to use tax dollars to do it because they do. Hold on, I'm not done yet, dude. This is really great. And it waives the government's defense like qualified and sovereign immunity.
I mean, look, part of me is like, I'm okay with it if it wasn't taxpayer dollars paying for it. But I'm quite all right with the federal government being open up to lawsuits for the things they're doing they shouldn't be doing. Quite all right with that. I just don't want the one paying for it. And let's be honest. Do these senators really need the extra $500,000? I'm sure most of them are sitting quite well, considering they've been following Nancy Pelosi's stock picks for however long they've been in office.
Well, listen, my problem with this is, it's substantive, right? It's I'm kind of tired of watching Congress vote themselves these perks. When there were only two, how many were there? Hold on. There were two Republicans that voted against this, and those two, that's the reason why, because they did not agree with that amendment. But they had to get the government back open. I totally understand that. How do you send this back?
Can I ask a really stupid question? Because you guys know I always keep up with what's going on, but I have been researching all day, every day for months now. Mm-hmm. And did they end up passing an extension on the subsidies? What did they do with the subsidies?
No, they basically said, we promise you that we'll vote on it in December.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that they said we promise we'll vote on it. I think they said we promise we will consider voting on it.
Yeah, which, by the way, is the exact same thing that John Thune promised back on October 16th.
Right.
So this whole shutdown thing is really just a charade, which we know, because what the Democrats got out of this, I think they got a couple of thousand federal employees that were terminated. They got them back, which is fine because Trump can turn around and riff them again next week if he wants to, and he probably will at some point. But what they substantively got out of this apparently now is a $500,000 per instance windfall for every time that they were spied on, and the same thing John Thune promised them 4 weeks ago.
So they left out that there's still going to be verification for eligibility for benefits. That's still okay. Good.
Yeah. It was the same continuing resolution, and I read in there that there's also combined with 3 full-year appropriations bills, because the government's funded through like 9 different appropriations bills, right?
Yeah.
So I think there was some new stuff that came in there. Don't know the full details of that, but yeah. So the verification and eligibility verification that was part of the BBB is still there. It's not going anywhere. They weren't going to let that go.
I say one thing. So GP Woco 01 over on Rumble says discuss.
Yep.
I'm not going to spend a ton of time discussing the subsidies, except to say they need to go away. It is time for Obamacare enrollees to pay their fair share. Pay your fair share.
You can probably go to Patriot Dad's X account, my X account, Patriot Source Podcast X account. You can probably just search it for subsidies, and you'll be able to find the chart that Patriot Dad found that he used that then I've been using to show everyone, because it explains it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found the YouTube. Sorry, I found the YouTube studio clipping tool. So I know Patriot Dad has done several rants on the subsidy with that chart. I'll go clip it out and we'll post it probably tomorrow morning. It's getting a little late, so I'll clip that out because it's hugely important. But it's the biggest thing to remember about these subsidies and about Obamacare is the ACA was passed on purely partisan lines. Not a single Republican voted for this, right? Not one Republican voted for it. And then these tax subsidies, which basically force taxpayers to fund an additional 12% of the subsidies from 80 to 92% of the premium costs as a result of COVID, passed on partisan lines. Not a single Republican voted for that either. So how can anybody wonder or be upset that no, Republicans are also not going to vote to continue those subsidies or allow a program that they didn't want in the first place to continue to get more and more expensive? Why would they do that?
That's right. They're not. Hey, so I understand that while I was like trying to find socks and underwear and all that kind of stuff, that since the shutdown is over, did the Democrats really go back to the Epstein well again? Is that happening? Is that happening?
Yeah.
They did.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't know if you saw it, but I put some screenshots in my folder thing in there that are hilarious, because this right here is bonkers.
Folks,
Actually bonkers.
no one's buying this, are they? I mean, I know the propagandists and the close media, 1630 funded people. I know that they're pushing this narrative, but seriously, you're not really buying this stuff, are you?
Well, so we need to explain what they tried to do.
Because I'm a little out of this. Explain it to me. Go ahead.
Great. Okay. So what they tried to do is they went into the sort of trove of subpoenaed documents from the Epstein estate, and they're trying to find evidence that President Trump is implicated in abusing underage girls, which not a single scintilla of evidence exists. So they came up with this among 3 different documents. This is one of them, and this is my absolute favorite one, right? So this is an email from Jeffrey Epstein that was written back in 2011 to Ghislaine Maxwell, and he says, "We don't really know what the context of all of this is. They didn't give it to us. It doesn't exist, and Epstein's dead, and Maxwell's in prison." He said, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked yet is Trump." And then you'll notice the name of the victim is redacted, and it says victim over it. So that's redacted. Spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% of the way there. So on its face, I mean, that's not good, right?
There's a reason why he's never once been mentioned. It's because he has nothing to do with it. That's why he's
Well, but that's not really the problem with what the Democrats tried to do.
Oh, wait, what'd they do?
Well, the Democrats are the Democrats in the Oversight Committee, they literally took that email and they put their own redaction over the name of the victim when it was never redacted before they got their hands on it. This is what the email actually said before they redacted it. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia spent plenty of time with him. Now, who is Virginia?
Virginia Gouffre.
SK. Did we lose SK?
Her camera
We
fell.
lost your camera. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
Wait, hold on. So you guys, just bear with me. I'm trying to get caught up on this. I honestly had no idea what's happening with this story because I've been busy. Are you telling me that the Democrats got their hands on an email that had Virginia Giuffre's name in it, and they redacted her name from it.
Yep.
Are we talking about Virginia Giuffre, who you guys remember? You may not remember this. Not too long ago, this has been a pet project of mine. This is something that I've studied for a very long time. And as a matter of fact, I may be one of the few people that has actually read every single document that's been made available so far. SK has, of course. The three of us have done it. And not only did I read them, but I also did videos of keyword searches of those documents. And I showed you every single instance where Donald Trump's name was mentioned in every single document that was made available through the multiple different lawsuits. And what's crazy is every time Virginia Giuffre or any of the victims talked about Donald Trump, they all said the exact same thing, that either they had never seen him or he had nothing to do with it. He was nowhere near the island, nothing at all to do with it. And not only that, but I think I've also shown you guys the X account post from Virginia Giuffre, who endorsed Donald Trump publicly in 2016 and in 2020. So you mean to tell me they tried to redact her name to implicate Donald Trump and something with her?
Yeah, right there. That's it right there. Yep.
And she has explicitly, along with all of the other victims, by the way, they have all explicitly stated, they were all asked at some points in time when you're reading some of their depositions and listening to them, it's almost like the investigators are pressing these girls to say that Trump did something to them, and they all are emphatically denying the fact that Trump was ever even around when this happened.
That's right. Look, real victims don't lie. They don't need to lie about this stuff. If there was anyone that would be worth them lying about, it would be Donald Trump, but they didn't. I mean, we saw what happened with E. Jean Carroll, who was basically had her entire case against Trump funded by Reid Hoffman. They had a reason to lie about him. These girls would have too. Why didn't they? Yeah. Because he didn't do anything wrong. That's why.
Well, listen, the story is not about did Trump do anything wrong with Virginia Giuffre. The story is what the Democrats tried to do today to change the narrative, again, to change the media cycle on this. Honestly, if they had just left it alone, the H-1B quote from Trump yesterday was kind of a freaking disaster. If they had just left it alone, that would have gone a lot farther than this one did. But Virginia Giuffre is no longer alive. She unfortunately committed suicide with, all the damage and, the issues that she had. Well, whatever. But we're not going to do that here. We're not going to try to determine who it was that did. But she's not here anymore to, emphatically come out and say, listen, mofos, I have told you hundreds of times that he did not do this. So instead, they put a black rectangle over it and said, oh, this is another one. This is a different victim that we magically found. The problem you have with that is we're freaking better at this than you guys are. We are better at this. This real version of this document, that showed up like 7 minutes after the Democrats put it out there. And just so totally embarrassing.
So somebody within their ranks who saw what they were doing had to have been very upset about it and leaked it and said, I'm not okay with this. That's what happened.
I think James Comer did. The House, the Republicans in the House Oversight Committee, they were like, no, dude, stop that. Stop it. Look, but you're going to see much more of this.
Look, Democrats, listen to me for a second, okay? This dog that you're trying to sell here of Trump and Epstein, it's not going to work. It's not, because people like us have actually read these documents and we know what happened. We know who did it. We know who didn't do it. So you're not going to get away with this. You're not going to be able to convince people that actually matter that anything nefarious happened here. So you might as well just stop trying to move on to something else, because this isn't working for you. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work for you. Sorry.
No, they don't have anything. Well, they don't have anything. And I think this is why. Patriot, I don't know if you've seen this yet today, but this is actually shocking.
in your book. You said, quote, "I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right. As a connoisseur, I can confirm that the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left." That is pretty remarkable to hear you say that as an elected Democrat. Why?
No. It's just been my personal experience on this thing. And when I asked my digital team, I said, we're on all the platforms. Really, what's kind of the harshest? What's kind of the most personal? And the answer was immediate. He said, "Oh, blue sky. It's blue sky." And the difference is, the right would say really rough things and names. Some names I won't repeat on TV, but the on the left, it was like they want me to die, or that we're cheering for your next stroke, or that's terrible that depression won. Why couldn't it depression won? And I hope your kids find you. They even have like the graphic, a GIF where they have like a stroke, in your head, cheering at that. Yeah, and they said that. I remember one. They claimed, "Oh, the doctor let us down, and why did they have to save his life?" Just really, I just can't imagine. People are wishing, I wish he dies, or I want him to die. Literally cheering for a stroke.
Yeah. So Dana Bash sitting there. Oh my God, Dana Bash. Excuse me. This is what we have been showing you has been going on from the left for years now.
Monsters.
Years.
She knows. Don't let her pretend she doesn't know. That lady's ex-husband is one of the people that signed that Intelligence 51 letter. Don't let that woman. Her ex-husband is CIA. She's probably CIA, but her ex-husband is CIA. So let's not pretend like she doesn't know. But also, can we just point out the fact that the Democrats are in real trouble when Fetterman, the dude that had a stroke, is the most rational person on the left?
Such a good point.
This is where we are with the Democrat Party.
It takes a stroke to get people to pick to not be insanely radical lunatics. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think Fetterman ever was. I think his wife that was front and center, she was pretty far left out there, but I'm not sure that he ever was. And I got to be honest with you, I'm going to give Fetterman credit. I was very upset when he won that election. He is shocking me nearly every single day. I think Pennsylvania voters got that one right. I really do. And I'm going to give him credit for that. I really do.
I agree. And I think whatever treatment and rehabilitation he went through for his stroke should be the program that is set up for the left.
That's right.
Yeah. So come on, Senator Fetterman, come on over. You're welcome. We got room for you.
How about that? Leftist conversion therapy.
Yeah.
Whatever they did to fix his brain.
Yeah, whatever the stroke rehabilitation program was for Fetterman, that's where we need to start with the program for the left.
That's right. That's right. So hey, Trump, when you put the asylums back in place, that's the treatment right there. That's it. All right, what else you guys got? I think it's fun, being able to just respond to stuff the whole time. This is fun. I enjoy this.
No, listen,
I was trying to tell you, it's so much better to just show up.
This was a total shit show. I was not ready for this. I was, but we were like 10 minutes away, and I'm like, I don't have anything ready. So
it takes
That's
hours.
also my fault. This morning, I offered to put together the outline, and I was going to have it all together, and I was going to help so that there was no stress on these guys, because I know they're stressed out enough with everything that's been going on, and I was going to do my part. And yeah, I get on my computer and I pull some stuff up to load it, and then I'm like, oh, what's this? This connects, and then I'm down a rabbit hole, and I look up 3 hours later, and I'm like, oh crap, I haven't done anything I'm supposed to do.
Shiny object down the rabbit hole. Squirrel. I had to tell her when I was literally working out, and I'm like,
I saw the text.
Focus.
Focus.
You said focus. I am focused. It's just not on the right thing. I've been focused for months and months and months. I'm hyper focused. That's the problem.
All right, what else we got?
I think that's it. I think the only other thing I had was the H-1B visas, but I wasn't able to grab any content on it.
So we'll do that next time.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Trump's upsetting people with China and Chinese students and 600,000 Chinese students in universities. But
that's a spy
whatever.
program.
Look,
That's
folks,
600,000 Chinese students is a spy program. There's no two ways around it.
You're right. Here's the deal, folks. And I know this is going to be a tough pill for people to swallow. Donald Trump has a very difficult task of trying to avoid a global conflict with China. And part of that is going to be playing nice with China in areas where we may not want him to. I know SK doesn't like it. I don't particularly like it. But we're also not sitting in the White House dealing with a nuclear-armed China who has a good relationship with a nuclear-armed Russia, who has a good relationship with a bunch of other people that don't really like the United States. We're going to have to be okay with the fact that sometimes things that Trump say, we don't necessarily love because he's trying to stop us from going into the next world war.
Yeah.
That is true. But it's also Venezuela and Cuba and the cartels and Iran's proxies. They're the ones all working together behind with the UN and this whole big picture network. Those are the countries.
That's right.
Mm. Yep. All right. One last topic in Patriot Dad. This is your wheelhouse. I do see MJ Rez, who's a regular. We'll call him a P1. He wants you to explain the genius or lack thereof of the 50-year mortgage.
Look,
and go.
You don't have to take out a 50-year mortgage, people. You don't have to. The 50-year mortgage is not a mortgage product that is designed for people who are financially secure. It is a product that are designed for younger people who are trying to get into their first home. Maybe they're trying to upgrade a home early in their life, and they are at a position where their debt to income ratio is one of the things that are prohibiting them from being able to get into a house, or the price of the monthly payment. Most people, here's what folks don't understand. Most people don't pay attention to the price of the home. They pay attention to the amount that they have to pay every single month. Can they budget it month to month to month? So I've done the math on this. A 50-year mortgage over the entire 50-year term is an absolutely terrible idea. Terrible idea. Awful. Like you're spending almost twice as much in interest in that mortgage. It's terrible. But less than 10% of people actually pay off a loan through over the entire course of the term? Less than 10%. We're talking about 90% of people who on average will keep a mortgage for anywhere from 7 to 10 years. So if we call it 8 years on average that somebody keeps a mortgage before they sell it, before they refinance it, whatever. And over the course of that 8-year period of time, you are actually going to see a net benefit to your household of about $10,000 because of the amount of money you save versus the additional interest you pay. That's all you need to think about. If you are planning to buy your house and stay in your house for the rest of your life, do not get a 50-year mortgage, or get a 50-year mortgage to start and then refinance it to a 30-year or a 15-year or something like that. This product is not designed for people who are in a place where they can actually attack the principal of their mortgage and build equity quickly. This product is designed for people who want to buy a home, are struggling to be able to afford in their monthly budget, and it has to be offered as an option, but no one's making you take a 50-year mortgage. It's that simple.
It's like a 7-year, or what's the maximum amount now for a car loan?
Car loans are actually going up, I think, to 7 years now. And I've heard talk in the industry of going even higher.
Yeah. So it just think about it the same way. It's like buying a car and financing it for as long as you possibly can. If you wait and you only pay your monthly payment and you finance it for that long, you're going to be upside down in your car.
Well, it's even worse than that, because vehicles they depreciate in value, but homes appreciate in value over time. And look, the math is the math. It's simple. If you are an average person, then a 50-year mortgage might make sense for you. Probably not forever, but for a period of time, so that you can see your debt to income ratios match what you need in order to get into a home. It's that simple. It's super smart, but you don't have to take it. It's up to you.
So this is an attempt to sort of approach the affordability issue on housing.
Well, yeah,
that's what we're trying to accomplish, right?
Yes, it's a capitalist method for addressing the affordability crisis that we have. You have two different ideas. You have the socialist communist idea, which is to control or limit the amount that your lender is allowed to charge you which creates this concept of what they basically call bubbled up inflation. It's like inflation just it's like if you put a lid on top of a boiling pot, it just bubbles and bubbles and bubbles and bubbles, and eventually it flows over. It's the same thing that happened back in the 1970s when there was caps put on interest rates and caps put on all kinds of things. Eventually, it just exploded, and it caused this runaway inflationary problem. You're going to have the same thing happen in New York City when they put rent caps in place. You're going to have these landlords are going to stop caring about taking care of the properties. It's going to turn into a slumlord. It's going to be awful because there's no incentive for the capitalist or the owner of those properties to take care of the place. Bottom line is, go ahead.
Counterpoint real quick on the New York City and the landlords and the slumlords. That's kind of the entire point, because Mamdani has come out and said, listen, if you're not upkeeping, if you're not keeping up and doing maintenance on these properties, we're going to fine you. If you don't make the repairs, then we're just going to take your property from you, which is what they want, because with the rent caps, there's not enough profit available for them to actually put it back into the property. That's what they want to do.
They can't do that. Look, Mamdani may say, I'm going to come in and I'm going to take your property from you, unless he does it through some type of eminent domain, and he's got a reason.
Domain will be how to do it.
Got a reason to do it, like he's going to turn it into like a strip mall or something like that. But that'll go straight up to the Supreme Court, and that will be overturned instantly. SK, go ahead. You know more about this than I do, because you're the commercial real estate person.
I know. I was going to say something, and now I forgot. It's gone.
Well, look, folks, what Trump is trying to do, and you have to give the man credit for it, is he is actually listening to people like us who are talking about the affordability crisis, except he's proposing actual solutions for it.
That is true.
Not lies and gaslighting and hopium and just ridiculous socialist ideas. Like, these things will actually work. They will actually work. And we have to celebrate. And we have to help him drive this narrative that capitalism is the only solution that has ever worked to solve the affordability crisis. And this is just one of many arrows in the quiver of how to solve it.
Yes, I do remember what I was going to say, because I was laughing when you were talking about all of that with New York City, because I was thinking about when Biden was in office and how much the Democrats liked those rent moratoriums where, landlords still had to make their payments and you couldn't evict somebody because of COVID, and that was a nightmare. Can you imagine having Democrats in charge and being like, yeah, you can't evict them either. They might not pay you, but you can't evict them, and you also still have to keep up the property, and you still have to make your payment.
That's right. All right, we are well over time. We got to wrap.
Yep, that's it, folks. Yeah, so the GiftSend Go is still out there. I'm sure you guys can see it if you have an opportunity, if you're able. I mean, even if you're unable to help to donate, engaging with the posts and sharing them is more than enough. Please, guys, it's more than enough. I mean, just engage. Maybe get it to somebody who can. I mean, I can't wrap my head. I don't have emotions, like I don't feel things very often, but this hit me, and I'm 800 miles away. I'm like, Mrs. Nom's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like feeling something. I don't know if it's a twin thing, but this sucks. What's going on?
Yes, I was going to say that was probably one of the funniest things, because of course, as soon as this happened, our group text we have, he's, texting, telling us what happened, and we're finding out at the same time. Well, I wasn't, because my texts weren't going through. But when Nom finally did message me to tell me, I was like, oh my gosh. And immediately I was like, okay, we have to do this and we have to do that. Let's help him this way. And it was funny because a little bit later, after all the messages came through, he was like, yeah, I'm having a really hard time. I'm like feeling things and I don't feel things. And he responded and said, Nom, stop feeling things.
It's going to be okay.
It was so funny. And yeah. I was feeling that I kept saying, I cried. I was crying because all I could think about was your wife and your kids as well, but your wife. And I mean, I love you, Patriot Dad, but you're a dude. You can handle it. I know you can handle it. But as a woman making a home, all I could think about was, homeschooling your kids and them being at the table and these memories and that memories and baking with them in the kitchen and the memories and the photos. And I just feel for her.
Folks, this is not said the exact same thing. Yeah.
folks, I just want to, again, we're going to wrap, but thank you so much for all the prayers, all the well wishes, all the thoughts. I don't care what any dumbass leftists tell you. We actually do want those because they actually do help. They move mountains. Thank you for all your financial support. But we got a country to save, and we're going to keep working our asses off to do it. So we love you guys. Tomorrow night, Patriot Dad EV 3.0 on TikTok. We're praying, and it's going to be good. See you there.
I'll be there.
Who's pushing the button? Are you pushing the button?
I am.
Not me.
I'm in charge of the buttons.
All right.
Bye.
The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcome should be.